Growing pains or hormones, whatever you want to blame it on, the teen years can be tough. So here to help us negotiate those difficult years are Sarah O'Leary Birmingham, the author of How to Raise Your Parents, along with iVillage's parenting expert, Michelle Borba. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Very interesting concept, first of all, Sarah, because on the back of your book, How to Raise Your Parents, you say, your parents try, they really do, but sometimes even the most well-meaning among them need a little help, and that's where you come in. You're basically you've written a book basically to try to help kids decipher their parents.
Exactly. Well, I think parents have so much more experience than teenagers that this might help teenagers learn a little bit about negotiation, how to really talk to their parents, get them to see things from their point of view.
To some degree, it's also about, for parents, if they were to read the book, to understand that kids kind of profile what kind of groups they might fall into. Why is this important, Michelle?
Well, I think what's really critical in life, Anne, is that she's nailed this in life. We spend all our time mastering those baby books 101, and here's the next most critical time in our kids' lives. We need to get a little into their shoes and where they're coming from, and it'll help us in our parenting.
And one of the things you say, Sarah, is that, for example, you might be a hipster parent, you might be a kind of preppy kind of a parent, but what does this matter? I mean, how does this matter?
Well, I think every parenting style is different for every teenager. You know, every parent, just as every teenager, they're different. So if you're going to work with your parent and, you know, abide by their values and everything, you've got to figure out first what they are.
Speak their language. Figure out what their language is. And so once you understand where they're coming from, then
you're on the same point of view. You know, you figure things out, and then you use some basic negotiation tactics.
Okay, let's talk about that. You've got the rules of negotiation in your book. You say some things are not negotiable. So just get that in your brain, teenager. Some things are not negotiable. Like, Michelle?
Well, your education. If you are big on having your kids go to church, you figure out what really matters most, and this is where we don't draw the line. And then your negotiation beyond that is not to win the argument, but on the other things, like maybe it's the curfew time or a certain outfit you're wearing,
you know,
win
all
them
kinds of bad
over.
behaviors,
Anything safety. I mean, we were talking beforehand about how anything that puts the teenager's safety in jeopardy is off limits.
Okay.
So teenagers, you know, they know this from their parents. They've gotten that. They know not to even bring it up.
But you know what I think your message as a parent can be? They're not negotiable because I love you. You are precious to me.
Exactly.
And I'm a warrior for you. I'm going to protect you, even if you won't protect yourself.
Not only that, if mom takes just a moment to say, here's what we stand for, or this is what I stand for above all else, you'll be able to think it through as a parent, and every part of your discipline and your choices guides back to, nope, because this is what we stand for above all else.
Okay, you also say timing is everything, young people. What do you mean by timing? You mean, in other words, when you want to bring something up?
Bring something up, have a good conversation. I mean, the same way that...
How do you know the right time, though?
Well, you know, the same way that you don't want your kids ambushing you with a million questions the second you're running out the door, if you've just gotten a speeding ticket, you need to think about what's a good time to have a sit down with your teenager. Probably not first thing in the morning. Exactly. You know, wait until they've come home from school and sit down together, really talk. Don't just have things running in and out the door.
One of the things I notice too about teenagers is that, you know, sometimes we're not listening to them, and if we really stop and just listen, then we'll know where they are at that particular moment when you want to bring something up, and then you'll know this is not a good time. She's worrying about not hearing from her girlfriend.
Not only that, Anna, a real simple one on that one is what teens say, the number one, we think we're listening, but they want to make sure our eyes are on them. We are great at multitasking. Just put your eyes on their eyes and give them your presence helps a little more on that one.
You also say be clear about what you want and need. You being the teenager?
And the parent. I mean, neither party are mind readers. So you've got to explain as the teenager what you want, why you want it, and as the parent to the teen, just like Michelle said, you've got to be clear what your values are and why they're important.
But when we say for the teenagers, when you say be clear about what you want and what you need, that's very hard to do when you're a teenager.
It is. You know, it's, for example, if you want $10, but you need $10 for the school play ticket, that's one thing. $10 for McDonald's is another. But you've got to spell that out for your parents, or else they just think it's $10.
Give a little and take a little. What do you think about this?
I love it because you're really trying to not win the argument, but win the kid over. You're not playing Judge Judy as your role here. You're trying to play your UN negotiator. And you're actually, if you do this with your child, the great thing is, Anne, you'll hear where they're coming from.
Well, you know what the thing about it is if you're giving a little, what you do is you let them be heard, right?
Yes.
But you've got to obviously be careful. I mean, I think a lot of the problems a lot of parents are realizing today is we've been far too lenient on the really important things. But I think that on the things that are sort of more more like what you wear. Oh, let's talk about what you wear. A lot of young people are wearing very short, small.
Right.
I don't know. As a mother, I'm like, no, not happening. That's it.
And therefore, be clear with it. If you're explicitly clear with it, you're okay with it. And kids need to know that up front. The best rule I've got is 3 Bs. And that means when you're wearing your clothes, you may not choose anything that shows your boobs, your belly button, or your bottom. And therefore, you're pretty well okay.
3B, something new
I
to
like
read.
that, especially because modesty, it was a huge deal in my house. But my parents had a rule like that, and I knew not to push it.
Okay, and the last tip is keep your cool. And on that note, we will leave it. Michelle Borba and Sarah O'Leary Birmingham, thank you so much this morning.
Thank you.